Dams are among the largest and most complex infrastructures ever built by humans. The scale of many large dams has far exceeded the scope of ordinary construction projects. In today's ranking, we will start from number 10 and introduce 10 of the world's most representative large dams. Number 10. Bennett Dam, Canada. The Peace River begins deep in the Rockies, traveling nearly 2,000 kilometers. This quiet river would soon be forced to hold back. One of the largest reservoirs ever created in North America. At the heart of it stands the Bennett Dam, an earth structure more than a kilometer wide, holding back enough water to redraw the map of British Columbia. Behind it stretches an 83-kilometer reservoir, so vast that entire valleys disappeared beneath its surface. When the reservoir filled, it boosted the province's electricity supply by nearly 8%. In a matter of weeks, 11 weeks of controlled flooding created a lake, larger than some countries' natural water systems. But scale comes with sacrifice. Dozens of species lost their habitats as the water climbed higher and higher. Even so, Bennett Dam reshaped the Peace River into a continental energy backbone. Positioned near Hudson's Hope, the dam stands where the river drops sharply. Perfect terrain for extracting immense hydroelectric force. It was the first major dam on the Peace River system, driven by Premier Bennett and Ray Williston, whose vision permanently altered the region's geography and economy. When completed, it became the largest earth-filled dam on Earth, massive enough to create the entire Williston Lake, now one of North America's giant artificial lakes. At its peak, Bennett supplied nearly a third of British Columbia's electricity, an output almost unimaginable from a single structure. The dam sits above a natural 215-foot drop in the canyon. Decades later, Bennett Dam still powers hundreds of thousands of homes, proving just how far-reaching one project can be. Number 9. Akosombo Dam, Ghana. This is a concrete gravity dam about 134 meters high and nearly 700 meters long. It spans the narrowest point of the Volta Gorge, blocking the entire river into a vast water surface and forming today's Lake Volta. The reservoir covers more than 8,500 square kilometers, extending northward along countless tributaries and valleys, making it one of the world's largest artificial lakes by area. The construction period of Akosombo was not long, 1961 to 1965, but its strategic purpose was very direct: to create a power core strong enough to support the industrialization of newly independent Ghana. The dam houses 6 turbine units with a total installed capacity of about 1,020 megawatts. At that time, this was an overwhelming amount of electricity for Ghana. Akosombo once supplied more than 60% of the nation's power. But the birth of Lake Volta was a massive social project. To make room for the reservoir, around 80,000 to 85,000 people were relocated. This was one of the largest resettlements for a water resource project in the world at the time. The project also created new vulnerabilities. Because Ghana long depended heavily on Akosombo's hydropower, once rainfall decreased and water levels dropped, electricity generation would quickly fall, putting immediate pressure on the national grid. Despite this, the Akosombo Dam remains a symbolic project of Ghana's modernization. It turned a river into a national power engine and expanded an inconspicuous gorge on the African map into a world-class artificial lake basin. Number 8. Daniel Johnson Dam, Canada. In the forested region of northern Quebec sits a dam whose appearance is hard to mistake. It is not a single concrete wall, but a matrix-like arrangement of huge arches. The Daniel Johnson Dam, one of the world's largest multiple-arch dams. The main structure consists of 13 arch segments and 14 buttresses, with a total height of about 214 meters and a length close to 1.3 kilometers. The essence of this multi-arch design is not beauty, but achieving the stability of a gravity dam in a lighter and more efficient way. In extremely cold regions, this structure is easier to control cracking and is more adaptable to temperature fluctuations. The dam blocks the Manicouagan River, forming the roughly 1,050 square kilometer Manicouagan Reservoir. From above, it appears as an almost perfect circular ring, also known as the Eye of the Earth. The dam's power system has an installed capacity of over 1,500 megawatts, supplying Quebec's hydropower network with massive northern electricity resources and functioning in coordination with multiple downstream hydropower stations. The Daniel Johnson Dam is a rare combination of geological heritage and modern engineering. It is not the biggest or the tallest, but it is one of the most unique. Number 7. Aswan High Dam, Egypt. If one were to point out a dam that changed the fate of a river, the one on the Nile is almost an unavoidable answer. Before the Aswan High Dam was built, the Nile had nourished farmland through seasonal flooding for thousands of years, but also brought recurring disasters. A dam capable of redistributing the annual flow became urgently necessary. So from 1960 to 1970, south of Aswan, between two granite mountain ranges, a massive embankment dam was built, about 111 meters high and nearly 3,130 meters long. From the front, it looks like a continuous earthen ridge stretching across the entire valley, far exceeding the traditional image of a dam shape. Behind the dam lies Lake Nasser, covering more than 5,000 square kilometers and extending south into Sudan, one of the largest artificial lakes in the world. The core function of the Aswan High Dam is to usher Nile water into an era of control. Its hydropower station has an installed capacity of about 2,100 megawatts, providing long-term baseload electricity for Egypt's industrial zones and urban grids. Meanwhile, the reservoir's massive storage allowed Egypt to bid farewell to millennia of catastrophic flooding. It not only changed the rhythm of a river, but also changed how a nation plans its future. Number 6. Krasnoyarsk Dam, Russia. Winter in Siberia, you may see a somewhat unusual scene. The Yenisei River, in temperatures below -20 degrees Celsius, does not completely freeze. The reason is not abnormal climate conditions, but the Krasnoyarsk Dam upstream continuously releasing warm tailwater from the power station. This is a typical heavy Soviet-era hydro-engineering project. The dam is about 124 meters high and over 1,060 meters long, spanning the narrow and deeply cut canyon of the Yenisei. It is a concrete gravity dam, with spillways, powerhouse and retaining sections, forming a massive integrated structure, looking more like a giant industrial machine than a traditional dam shape. As one of Asia's largest rivers by discharge, it must endure tremendous water pressure year-round, while also coping with extreme temperature swings in Siberian winters. Concrete becomes brittle and prone to cracking in such cold conditions, so the interior of the dam is equipped with dense temperature control systems to keep the structure stable during heating and cooling cycles. This is why the entire dam appears square, heavy, and entirely function first. Krasnoyarsk Dam has an installed capacity of over 6,000 megawatts, making it one of Russia's most important hydropower bases. It supplies highly stable electricity to downstream aluminum smelting industries, which require near-perfect grid consistency. Meanwhile, warm discharge water keeps dozens of kilometers downstream unfrozen, even in winter, one of the dam's unique features. Number 5. Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Ethiopia. This is the largest hydroelectric project in Africa and an engineering feat that completely changes the sense of scale on the Blue Nile. The GERD's main body sits across a gorge on the Ethiopian plateau, about 145 meters high and nearly 1,180 meters long. The combination of a concrete gravity dam and flanking rock-filled dams forms a massive artificial ridge, not the usual dam shape, but something resembling a re-sculpted landscape built from millions of cubic meters of material. This structural choice is driven by the Blue Nile's extreme flow fluctuations. Flood season rises fast and violently, while the dry season drops sharply. A single dam type cannot handle all seasonal conditions, so GERD uses a combination model: gravity dam for main control, plus rock fill extensions, plus independent spillway systems. This allows it to absorb flow surges, sediment impact, and varying loads across different foundation zones. Its power goal is equally enormous: The dam is planned to house 13 turbines with a total installed capacity exceeding 6,000 megawatts. GERD began in 2011. From foundation to structural completion to phased filling, the process has spanned more than a decade. As of this September, a formal inauguration ceremony was held, marking major progress after more than 10 years of construction. The reservoir behind the dam covers more than 2,000 square kilometers, expanding along gorges and mountain basins. Its storage capacity is significant enough to reshape seasonal flood peaks, making the reservoir as important as the dam itself. But water resources are never an issue of a single nation. The Blue Nile flows north into Sudan and Egypt, whose agriculture and cities are highly dependent on the river. As a result, the dam's construction and operation triggered major disputes between Egypt and Sudan regarding Nile water rights. Number 4. Kariba Dam, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Kariba Dam's exterior design is straightforward. Use a giant arch dam to resist the enormous pressure of the Zambezi River. The dam body is about 128 meters high and 617 meters long, curving upstream like an extended arc surface. Construction began in the mid-1950s, when material transport and geological surveying were far less developed than today. Building an arch dam of this scale meant every formwork section and every concrete pour had to match perfectly with the load-bearing points on both sides of the canyon. Any deviation in the arch's geometry could cause collapse. For that era, this was extremely ambitious engineering. The reservoir behind the dam reaches a geographical scale of vastness. Lake Kariba covers more than 5,500 square kilometers, stretching hundreds of kilometers along the Zambezi Valley. Its construction was far from smooth. Over 50,000 people were relocated. The river's rhythm changed, forcing downstream ecosystems and agriculture to adapt to new flow patterns. And the aging dam has in recent years been repeatedly assessed as requiring reinforcement. These complexities make it a project with both enormous benefits and equally large maintenance challenges. Number 3. Bratsk Dam, Russia. The Bratsk Dam sits on the Angara River in Siberia and was one of the Soviet Union's largest hydroelectric projects. It is a concrete gravity dam, approximately 125 meters high and more than 1,450 meters long, anchored into bedrock on both sides of the valley. Its design focused primarily on stability in a high-flow river reach, resulting in a straight-line appearance, emphasizing durability and resistance to freezing rather than aesthetics. Construction began in 1954-1955. The water level was reached in 1961. Beginning reservoir formation, all generating units were commissioned around 1966-1967. The entire construction period lasted roughly 13 years. The total cost was nearly 800 million Soviet rubles, among the highest-level infrastructure investments of the era. The powerhouse contains large-scale hydroelectric generating units with an installed capacity over 4,500 megawatts, supplying stable energy to Siberia's aluminum smelters, mining bases, and urban systems. The Angara River's high annual flow ensures highly consistent hydropower output, making Bratsk a crucial component of the Soviet energy portfolio. The resulting Bratsk Reservoir covers more than 5,400 square kilometers, expanding across valleys and lowlands east-west. It is one of Russia's largest artificial water bodies. Number 2. Guri Dam, Venezuela. Construction of the Guri Dam spanned more than 20 years. It had two major phases. Phase 1 began in 1963 and completed in 1978 with the main dam and early generating units. Phase 2 continued from 1978 to 1986, expanding generating capacity and improving spillway systems. These long-term efforts shaped the foundation of one of the world's largest hydroelectric systems today. The dam is located on the upper Caroni River in southeastern Venezuela. It is a concrete gravity dam about 162 meters high and more than 7,400 meters long, arranged in segments to match variations in valley width and foundation conditions. The Caroni's large drop and stable flow made it ideal for large-scale hydropower, so the design was set as a high-head, large-capacity gravity system. The powerhouse contains 20 turbine generator units, with a combined capacity of about 10,200 megawatts across both phases. Thanks to abundant water volume and consistent hydraulic head, Guri has long provided more than half of Venezuela's electricity, serving as the national grid's main baseload source, giving the project an irreplaceable position among global megadams. Number 1. Three Gorges Dam, China. In the classification of global large-scale hydroengineering, the Three Gorges Dam is among the few that simultaneously reaches top-tier levels in dam size, installed capacity, and reservoir length. This gives it a unique combined engineering profile in the world's hydropower system. Located on the middle upper reaches of the Yangtze River, it is a concrete gravity dam about 181 meters high and 2,335 meters long. The main retaining sections, spillways, sediment flushing structures and powerhouse areas are arranged in segments to handle the Yangtze's high flow, heavy sediment load and multi-function operation. Construction began in 1994 and proceeded in phases. 2003, the main structure first achieved water retention capability. 2006-2008, all major dam segments were completed. 2012, all 32 surface units and 2 underground units entered full operation. The entire construction process spanned nearly 20 years. The total installed capacity is about 22,500 megawatts, making it the largest hydropower facility in the world. The Three Gorges Reservoir stretches more than 600 kilometers, covering about 1,000 square kilometers, extending through multiple provinces along the Yangtze Canyon, one of the longest canyon-type reservoirs on Earth. The reservoir's stepped water level regime helps reduce flood peaks, stabilize navigation, and improve the efficiency of upstream hydropower stations. Construction involved large-scale relocation, with hundreds of thousands of residents resettled and infrastructure rebuilt before impoundment. As the world's largest hydroengineering project, the Three Gorges Dam plays strategic roles simultaneously in flood control, power generation, and navigation. Its overall capabilities give it a uniquely prominent position among global megadams. These are the 10 most representative large dams in the world. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.